Now, as the UK's vaccine programme picks up speed with hopes for 1 million doses to be given out a day, we're all beginning to see light at the end of the tunnel. But with the jury still out on vaccine passports for international travel, it got us thinking about how we might plan to make our own homes safe. So we asked you online whether or not you'd be happy to have unvaccinated friends in your house, and about half of you said that you wouldn't. It's, 50% of you said that you wouldn't. I mean, Frankie, could you ever see yourself asking for proof from your friends to find out if they've been vaccinated?
I don't think I'd ask for proof, like paperwork or something. I think I would have already had that conversation with my friends. Like, I already know from having the discussion who's kind of up for it and who isn't. But I don't think it would stop me from seeing them, obviously, when we're allowed. I don't think I would say, oh, well, you can't come into my house then. So, yeah, I don't think it would have to be this big, upfront, confrontational conversation. I think I would know already.
And what about if, I don't know, you and Wayne wanted to go to the theatre or something? Would you feel as comfortable going to the theatre, perhaps, with people who haven't?
No, and this is the most ridiculous thing. I know that this is completely stupid and mad, but it's almost like I would, when we're allowed, risk having my friends round and possibly catching COVID from then, but yet put me in a room full of strangers, I think I'd feel really uncomfortable. And I know that's silly. I know I can still catch it from my friends, but I think it's just that stupid thing of, like, I trust them more because I feel like I would know that they've been sticking to the rules, or I know what they've been up to, whereas put me in a room full of strangers, I don't know what they've been doing.
Yeah. This is trust, isn't it? I mean, Denise, what about you?
Yeah.
I am pro-vaccine. I am waiting for my vaccine. I'm thrilled my dad's had his vaccine. I know we don't know everything about this vaccine at the moment, but I am hoping that it will free us up in the way that I hope. Will I stop my friends coming in my house if they haven't had a vaccine? No. Will I go to the theatre with people I don't know if they've been vaccinated or not? Yes. There are some people more scared of this than I do. I want to take all the precautions that I am told to take and that I feel I should take, but I want everything to go back to normal. Do I want there to be vaccine passports? I expect that there will be for travel abroad. I will be happy to show that, but I was reading today about the fact that they're saying that in order to open up theatre, my industry, my kids' industry, so many people are suffering as a result of, I don't just mean going to the theatre, the people working in the theatre, desperate for it to reopen again, about having the lateral flow test. I don't quite know how that would work. But the answer to you asked me the question, would I go to the theatre if I thought people weren't vaccinated? Yes, I would.
You would. It's interesting you bring up the vaccine passports. I think one thing that tends to be lost in the discussion about this is that those less developed nations, those nations that are not as rich as we are, can simply not afford to have a ton of Brits turn up on their doorstep who haven't been vaccinated and put their own citizens at risk. We are lucky that we have a government that can afford, or we live in a country that can afford, to buy in all of these quite expensive vaccines, and the Oxford AstraZeneca is the only one that can't make a profit until after July, September, after the summer, so that it can be affordable for those other nations. But there are so many nations across the world that can simply not afford, at the moment, these expensive vaccines. And this is a global issue, and we have to think about other people, don't we?
Yeah, but what about all the people coming back here from holidays or business trips abroad who are going to get round our quarantine, our it seems quite ill thought out quarantine rules that came into force this week.
From the red list countries,
from the red list countries, and also the ones not from the red list countries who have to isolate at home for 10 days. Because we've already seen that Scotland would like everyone landing at Heathrow or at airports in England to go through quarantine before they go to Scotland. So they don't want anyone to go into Scotland who hasn't been through quarantine if they've come from these red list countries. Well, earlier this week, 65 people were booked on a flight from Istanbul to Scotland, and then when they were told that they would have to quarantine, only 5 people took that flight. So that means that you could safely assume that 60 people decided to enter Scotland another way.
Yeah.
And if not the whole 60, certainly a lot of them, because they would be returning home to relatives and friends. So I just think at the end, throughout all of this, people have got to ask themselves some tough questions and start telling the truth. And obviously, at the moment, we've been watching It's a Sin about the AIDS pandemic on television. And the thing that runs through that was fear, people not owning up to who they'd been with. And, of course, there's no comparison between HIV and coronavirus. But the same thing applies, that people have got to be more truthful about where they've travelled, who they've been to, and whether they're vaccinated or not. I mean, personally, I would have people in my house who haven't been vaccinated.
And would you go on those sorts of holidays, like I think the Saga holidays have been advertising? You saw it, didn't you, Frankie? Advertising that, you know, you could be vaccinated and sort of go on holiday.
Well, there'll be people who want to go on them.
I'd go on holiday with anybody of any age to anywhere.
You'd go on holiday
right now.
with anyone with a pulse.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, I would.
Oh,
yeah.
what we would
I'm
give to just
desperate
be
for
on a
holiday.
beach at the moment. All right.